called, oh, I thought she was cheating.
No.
Ode to Approach. How do I love thee? Let me count the ways. I love thee to the depth and breadth and height my soul can reach when feeling out of sight. How I love thee sparkles and glistens in the light. How I love each brooch fills me with delight. Whether thou art silver or gold, whether thou art metallic or bold, I love thee with a passion put to use that shines on every outfit I peruse. But none will take the place in my heart as my Rotary pin in looking smart. And thank you, Elizabeth Bear Browning, for that inspiration. And there's the poem.
Oh, thank you
For your scrapbook.
for my, and you all will not be able to see this. We've had speakers who did this. Who would play the whole.
Gail, you're supposed to talk in the microphone.
We had speakers that did this that would say, oh, and here's my PowerPoint, and then they'd say, well, I know you can't see any of this. Because it means, well, I know you all can't see this, but it's absolutely gorgeous. Thank you. You're welcome. Michelle Dobson is going to lead the song, and I know I say that with trepidation because I actually haven't. Oh my goodness! Okay, law offices of Michelle A. Dobson. Michelle hasn't led a song for us this year, so this will be a great treat.
Thank you, President Gail. There is a reason why I have not led a song this year, because I cannot sing. So, Gail happened to be in the first class of women that attended Virginia Tech. So in honor of what campus life was like before you became a Hokie, may I ask everyone to join me. And my cheerleaders, this is your cue. Join me, please stand and join me in the Virginia Tech fight song.
We're trying. VP, oh VP, you know our hearts are with you in a life which never seems to die. When our lips will reach you with a glad returning, you're bright VP. Just like our friends will be there laughing. Support the morning in the room, let's go test. We know our hands and backs are stronger. With willing hearts we lose feet no longer. Just see our team up through the line, boys. Determined now to win or die. So give a Hokie, Hokie, Hokie high. Royal VPI.
Half of your board represent you with this Virginia Tech hat. These lovely Virginia Tech Argyle socks. And for your doggy, a Hokie dog collar.
Where are they going to do it? Of course. I feel promoted.
I remember I used to love the head of the economics department at Cal State Long Beach because he was the only other person who knew where Blacksburg, Virginia was. This is truly unexpected. All right. Guest introductions. Sergeant at Arms, Ginny Baxter. Ginny's Getaways.
What company do you like from?
Yeah. See how quickly I got that?
Okay, now I'm going to introduce the guests. Excuse me. Guests, please rise when you are introduced, and we will applaud you at the end. Guest today, because you're very popular, Libby Tigner, guest of Gail Schwandner. Then
we now have birthdays. So as I told people, I hope you moved over with your balloons so that we could do birthdays, so Ginny could find you to do birthdays. Okay. And I see that Jenny has notes.
Yes. Always dangerous, President Gail. Okay, we have 2 birthday ites today. The first is Rick Jordan. Now, Rick Jordan, come running up here. Rick has participated in 19 marathons. You know, I wanted to be in the Boston Marathon, but there's a problem. I can't run 26 miles. But Rick, that was your most recent one, right?
That was in April.
Okay, in April. Now, Rick, you've been in 19 marathons at $100 a marathon. That's $1,900.
Wow.
Or at 26 miles times 19 marathons, that's $494.
Wow.
Or today only,
Special deal.
special deal. How about 15 times 10, and I don't know what that stands for, but $150.
I'll take it.
It's good to see you. You're a longtime member. We haven't seen you for a while, so we're
But we're
glad you're
glad
here.
to see you.
Thanks.
Yes. Okay, Kay Cofield, happy birthday. They didn't tell me what number president you are. Number 97. Okay. Kay,
not my age.
I know that. Nor mine. Kay, how did you celebrate your birthday?
Oh my.
Yes.
I guess I have to tell the whole story, don't I?
Absolutely.
All right, I'll keep it brief. A couple of months ago, after we had all the snowstorms and everybody was saying that Mammoth is staying open this year until July 4th, I said to my husband, you know, I could ski on my birthday, and they let you ski for free after you're a certain age. So he said, well, is that what you want to do for your birthday? I go, well, of course. He calls my daughter and he says, would you do me a favor and come take your mother skiing? So he did. She did. She came all the way from Havasu. I raised my daughter on snow skis and water skis, so we're kind of buddies that way. And she and I drove up to Mammoth on Sunday. We got up in the morning and bright sunshine and glistening snow, and went up and I said, I want a free ticket. Because so does everybody. I said, yes. But today I turned 80 and I get to ski for free! So that's amazing.
She looks spectacular in those ski clothes. Oh, yes, there's Kay. And now, next, we have a recognition. Where is Mike Jensen? He's over here. Mike did a thing that I will encourage you never to do. Mike sent a video. Are we going to play that video now? Please, go right ahead.
Here we are, beautiful city.
Oh, I got that.
I can't tell you where it is because
That
it's a
was the
secret.
mistake.
Wish you were here. Ta-ta.
Mike actually sent me that video and said, I can't tell you where it is. Now, I'm the president of the Rotary Club. Mike, you can tell me anything. Remember, is it the truth? Does it? Okay, so Mike, having had this wonderful vacation, and I know you really support youth literacy in the community, so the Charitable Foundation is something near and dear to your heart. It was obviously a fabulous vacation.
It was very stressful. Can you tell that my voice as I was talking on that?
Yeah, no, I heard no stress. I just heard euphoria. I'm doing this wonderful thing, and I'm sending this picture off to you all, which none of the rest of you can do because I won't tell you where it is. But, be that as it may, what do you think would be a reasonable contribution to the Charitable Foundation?
$100.
Yeah, really, yes, we're having, Wayne, you had an idea in the audience?
500. Oh my God.
We have another vote here for 500. Do I have a 3 and that makes it, unanimous? So,
You're every close enough.
We all do. Thank you. And now it says, after you announce Braden, Gail, you go down to your special chair, my throne.
We'll take care of the throne in just a second.
I got it.
Would you move just slightly to the left? Thank you, President Gail. Well done. Today is your 43rd meeting as the Grand Poobah of this organization.
Yes,
and we know how hard it must be for you to relinquish control of anything, and especially this club. But today is special. In addition to sampling the hot cuisine of the Venerable Queen Mary, we come today not to praise Gail Schwandner, but to bury her. Would you care to join me?
Well, we want you to have a good time with this seat. What's going to transpire here.
I'm looking forward to that.
So please be seated. And allow me. There are some of us that have always thought that you thought yourself a queen, and we just wanted to fulfill those expectations. So we are gathered here today for a serious, potentially somber, and hopefully somewhat humorous occasion. Today, after nearly a year of collective efforts to accommodate her every whim, laugh at her attempts at humor, and strive mightily to understand what she meant to say, we're here to officially demote the 102nd president of the Rotary Club of Long Beach, the esteemed and genteel Ms. Gail D. Schwandner, and return her to her well-deserved seat in obscurity at table 13. Preparing for this event, we did extensive research to locate any additional information about Gail's past, which might have informed her performance as our dear leader. We learned about the Southern influence of her upbringing, which is often reflected in her speech. We learned about her early days as the wife of an Air Force officer, where she learned about time limits, manners, and protocols. We learned about her first post-Air Force job with the Ramada Corporation, where she essentially conned her way into a catering management position. As Gail developed her catering program, she got to do a bit of traveling with the Ramada Corporation as she implemented the many changes. One evening in Des Moines, Iowa, Gail had arrived on an afternoon flight. She was tired. She went up to her room, unpacked, and decided she needed a glass of wine, so she went down to the bar. As always, she was smartly dressed in a business suit, no doubt with the appropriate brooch and scarf, and looked like many professional women travelers of the day. According to a newspaper article in the Des Moines Register, that was a problem. Apparently, the hotel staff thought she looked a little too professional. So they sent over a security person to inquire if she was registered in the hotel. Suffice it to say, that was not well received. That night, she began mapping out a new program for Ramada that established protocols and procedures for their hotels, restaurants, and bars to properly recognize and meet the needs of the single woman traveler. She traveled the world training Ramada staff in the intricacies of her new baby. Any of you male Rotarians of a certain age who may have traveled on business in your youth may recognize one of the cornerstones of her program. All Ramadas back then had restaurants and bars located within their properties. It was not an uncommon occurrence for a single man to spot a single woman. Men looked at that move as an icebreaker. The women did not. Gail changed all that. Her program demanded that the Ramada staff inquire of the lady whether she cared to accept the drink from the gentleman across the room. My guess is that she saved a lot of money on corporate credit cards. She also trained staff never to give out the room of single women travelers. Sorry, boys. After the success of her Women Travelers program, Mata asked her to develop a similar program for senior travelers. There were fewer restrictions on drink offers, but more availability of memory aids and walkers. That program led Gail to her next gig with Modern Maturity magazine. Modern Maturity was hosting a major conference in a city, and the keynote speaker was the former Secretary of State General Alexander Haig. You may remember General Haig as the gentleman who was all too willing to take over when Ronald Reagan was incapacitated. Well, when the general arrived, Gail's boss, the editor-in-chief, and Gail accompanied him on the elevator ride to his room. Now, ever the dapper former military leader, Haig posed a question to Gail. He said, "What's a pretty girl like you doing in a big job like this?" Gail's demure response was, "I'm pretty smart." At which point her boss interrupted and said, "General Haig, I was just about to tell you that Gail is actually assigned to another of our guests, and I'll be working with you on this event." Now, we're not sure how much impact that had on her decision, but a short time later, Gail took a job with AARP as the director of West Coast operations. When AARP moved back to Washington, D.C., Gail decided to look for another job. And she was hired by Long Beach City College as the Dean of Workforce Development, was introduced to Rotary, and, as they say, the rest is history. I'm sure that some of you are wondering how she did it. Well, I'm sure she'll likely want to take all the credit personally. We, however, think that there were some strong mentors and special muses at her side. In fact, we think we've actually identified several of those muses. Not surprisingly, Gail's literary diet made our discovery pretty easy. We interviewed 3 of those mentors, and we want to share some videos of those discussions. Because of the muse-client privilege, we're invoking the Justice Kennedy rule limiting public disclosure, and we've asked future President Dennis Smith to read the oath.
Note that I have notes, so I will not be doing some kind of impromptu thing like Gail did when she said, "I have boarded the plane and am ready for takeoff. This plane is going to Denver. If I want to go to Dallas instead, now is the time for me to get off this plane." Exact same response, but with only 500 people there. Okay, so what I need you to do is to please raise your hands for the oath. Hold on. Okay, so your hands are raised, and I'm going to say it and just repeat it in your head or by listening, whatever echoes, think about whatever you want. I swear by the U.S. Justice Department that in respect for the speakers, I will turn off my cell phone pagers and pacemakers and put them away. All remarks are off the record, and I will abide by this oath during and after the meeting. And after. Okay, hold on. Yeah, I'm not supposed to use it. All right. You can lower your hands, keep them up if you wish. Just, you're not supposed to take photos.
I'd say really good job, Dennis, if it was. So let's talk about the first mentor. Gail claims that her Roma Gypsy bloodline is what first steered her toward the wonders of magic. It's not surprising that she would be attracted to the orphan wizard Harry Potter. The various teachers at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry each had their unique mentoring styles. Ever studious, Gail has never been afraid to embrace even the most unlikely of mentors, like Professor Severus Snape, who taught the dark arts defense, tells us that you had a great influence on her life. In her words, "He rescued me from the cow path to hell and set me firmly on the turnpike to my current glory." Can you tell us about Gail as a student?
She was exceptionally rude, offending all her professors. One instance is frozen in is something called the four-way test. Is it true? Is it true how brutish? I coached her on a less disruptive approach. Smile and say, bless your heart.
Well, thank you, Severus. That was delightful. And if in case you hadn't caught on by now, this is going to be a pretty high-tech evolution today. There's a lot of moving parts. So bear with us as we make these transitions. We not only wanted to highlight the influential people in Gail's life that led to her exemplary presidential skills, but we thought we'd also take a look back over the year to revisit 3 memorable meetings and recognitions. Once a president has left the podium in June, there is often an awkward period of adjustment away from the fame, lights, and constant phone calls from concerned members. A past president has to find another way to spend the extra 30 hours a week that they've regained, something where they can still feel that their work is valued. Oh, there he is.
Past President number 96, Greg Hessler, returned to an earlier interest of birdwatching, a calming pastime that he could now spend endless quiet hours. But last fall, Greg's excitement knew no bounds when he spied a bird he had never seen before in the Los Cerritos wetlands. After days of research and 500 emails to the International Audubon Society, Greg was able to confirm that he had sighted the nutmeg manakin, a bird native only to tropical Asia. Because of Greg's sighting in Long Beach, the nutmeg manakin has received enough stars and feathers to be added to the California state list. Past President Hessler subsequently donated 1,000 points, so the nutmeg mannequin is now a Paul Harris Fellow and enjoying the delightful treat from Creative Cakery. Unfortunately, when Greg pinned the Paul Harris pin on the bird, he pierced his chest and, well,
At the end of that recognition, what Gail said was, thank you. As an honorary member of that school, noted for their characteristics of hard work, dedication, patience, loyalty, and fair play, we bestow on Greg the Gail Schwandner Brooch of Leadership from her extensive closet collection for all seasons. If you've been coming to enough lunch meetings, you know that President Gail is no Southern wallflower. So it's not surprising that one of Gail's leadership mentors would be a strong woman, someone not afraid to stand up to her club tribe, someone who can train the wildest of animals, someone who will fight for the podium throne with thousands of members behind her, someone like Daenerys Targaryen from the Game of Thrones.
So, you may recognize me. I recently went out in a blaze of glory, so to speak. I have an entire roll call full of names that I'd love to trot out each time I'm trying to impress my audience. Daenerys Targaryen, Mother of Dragons, Stormborn, Khaleesi, Breaker of Chains, the Unburnt, Queen of the Andals, and First Men. President Gail approached me to seek some leadership tips. Apparently, Gail is so fascinated with me that she named her beloved dog after me. Truth be told, I wasn't sure whether to be flattered or offended. Gail looked to me as a beautiful and powerful female leader. Let's be honest here. Gail holds herself in pretty high regard, am I right? Gail even began introducing herself as many names as well. She who is retired, mother of a dog, Miss Vienna Woods, Virginia, wearer of chains and necklaces, the sunburnt, queen of accessorizing with style. I explained to Gail how I conquered the 7 kingdoms and defeated the undead and White Walkers. For the uninitiated, White Walkers are not members of the Farmers and Merchants Bank lineage, but rather scary characters from the Game of Thrones. And I explained how similar ruling over Westeros was to serving as Rotary president. I offer the following tidbits to guide her. To instill loyalty, deploy fear as your weapon of choice. If dragons are handy, all the better to encourage unwavering devotion to you among your subjects or fellow Rotarians. To keep past presidents in line and out of your business, demand they bend the knee and subjugate themselves to your reign of terror. Always remind them who's in charge. They love that. Find a loyal army to fight your battles and carry out your agenda. Gail told me that she had in hand already with her board selections, though she mentioned how hard it is to find any unsullied Rotarians. I told her to avoid any catfights with other power-hungry women within her realm. And if she must, don't hesitate to go medieval on those gals and bring the flame. Clearly, she learned that lesson well. Most importantly, if anyone named Cersei applies for membership or proposes a new member, use an immediate pocket veto on that one. And above all, I told Gail, don't get mad. Don't let your lingering rage come to light, because a mad queen can burn the ship down in a red-hot second. Oh, and be very careful about taking advice from clever dwarves.
I'll interject here that if any of you have deprived lives and you don't know anything about Harry Potter or you don't know anything about Game of Thrones, tough luck. Spread your wings, get a little bit more involved in what's going on in the local media. Okay, we'd now like to bring you another memorable recognition. Unfortunately, not all violence takes place on TV or in the movies.
This just in. A Rotarian head-to-paddle collision of epic proportions. Ken Jacobs, competitive rower, and Mark Ketchikan, swimming to keep his Speedos in shape, collided in the calm waters of Alamitos Bay. Now, rumor has it that this was a stage stunt to prove that 2 Rotarian heads are better than 1. This is Lisa Finn reporting for LBRC. Back to you, Bree.
Boy, thank you, Lisa. Great. I hope Ken can pay his Rotary dues after this settlement. And I hope that the bump on the head doesn't make Mark any more odd than he already is. If Ken and Mark had both gone to Hogwarts, perhaps their talents could have been steered towards more civilized game like Quidditch. No one would doubt that Ken would represent the House of Ravenclaw and Mark would fly for the House of Slytherin. We bestow these brooches, one to Ken for displaying Ravenclaw characteristics of intelligence, knowledge, and accuracy, and one to Mark for displaying the Slytherin characteristics of ambition, cunning, and a slippery head. To be a Rotary president requires fortitude and agility. It's no wonder that the elf Legolas from the Lord of the Rings is the third of Gail's valued mentors. Gail has much in common with Legolas, as they are both perfectly coiffed warriors who aren't afraid to wear tights. Legolas offered this much-needed advice for those meetings where it feels like nothing is going right. When your speaker is lost on the 405, Or your sergeant at arms thinks he is a headliner for a one-man comedy show. Ouch, that was a little close.
Some days, it may feel like a swarm of bloodthirsty nutmeg mannequins are coming straight at you. On those days, Gail, you will have to take matters into your own hands. It will require flexibility, courage, and a little resilience to get through those meetings. It may even require seeing the world from a different point of view. You will have to rely on all of your pointed blessings and all your subtle jabs, and perhaps even a shot of whiskey in that little southern teacup. And if all else fails, it's absolutely critical that you know when to gracefully and elegantly get off your flight.
Perhaps we can also credit Legolas for Gail's fashion sense of rich colors and fabrics. Now, there's another memorable recognition near the beginning of her presidency that revealed a lot about Gail.
Dapper Jeff Wimbish was on the cover of Alameda Bay Neighbors. With him were his wife, daughter, and dog Zeus. When it came down to negotiating a fine, Jeff offered $100 for each of the beautiful women. In response, Gail said, "Well, I find the dog quite attractive too."
So what Gail actually said was, "Well, I find the dog quite attractive too." And surprisingly, what Gail was thinking was, "Well, I find that dog quite attractive too." Jeff's style of negotiation was no doubt learned at Hogwarts House of Gryffindor. Because of these characteristics of bravery, daring, and breeding well, Jeff, we bestow on you the Gail Schwandner Brooch of Leadership. And accepting on behalf of Jeff at today's award ceremony is Teresa Brunella. Thank you, Teresa. And we will find Jeff appropriately at our next encounter. Recognitions were often memorable as were some of our speakers. With the tough time constraints, we always appreciated the speakers who stayed on topic, kept within 20 minutes, and established a great rapport with the audience. In fact, we had one speaker in March who was going to tell us how to unclutter our lives.
Oh, dear. I had 7 hours planned, and then I whittled it down to 4, and now you're giving me 20 minutes, and I'm starting 4 minutes late? I just don't get this joint. And you know what? Normally I get paid $7,000 for this kind of gig. This actually happened. I think I'm going to walk down here for the rest of my speech. Hello, I'm Miss ClutterCon, and I'm here to speak to you about how to con people into thinking that clutter is important. But first, my book. Would anybody like to buy my book? Only $99. Getting clutter. All right, back to clutter. This is a 3-step process. The first step is recognize the consequences of clutter. If you live in clutter, you will die an agonizing death. Okay, now, $79. I will take checks. I'll take Bitcoin. Hey, I'll even take, what else could I take? I'll take a donation to the Rotary Club, only if I get a percentage. Step 2, Step 2 is provide a solution to all that clutter. All you gotta do is clean your closets today. Hey, $39 because I like you all. I'll take pesos. I'll take wampum. I'll take rubles. No? All right, step 3. Give a lunchtime talk to a bunch of cheap bastards who won't even pay you. You look a little disheveled, my dear. Yes, this book could do you some good. $9. But from you, I only take cold hard cash. All right. Step 4, sell this illustrated book on how to sell illustrated books. Ding. What? My time is
Are you kidding me? You guys went way over with all your silly announcements. I mean, who wants to hear about a golf tournament? And who the hell or what the heck is a commish? I don't know. All right, I'll gracefully be in the back of the room selling my book for $1.98. I will take trading stamps. I'll even take harvested kidneys.
Once again, those of you with quizzical looks on your face missed the real clutter lady, and I think Valley captured her right on. Nice job. All right, you guys, mercifully, we are nearing the end of this Demotion program, and I hope we did it.
There's no definition, and I realized after a short amount of time what a cool position this is. Maybe one of my best years in Rotary, because you don't give advice unless you're asked. And then if she does ask it, you can say anything you want, and she can either take it or not, and you don't care because you had a chance to express yourself, and then life goes on. And you don't have to follow through on anything. So thank you, Madam President, for the best in the world. It's been a great year. And now we're going to give you a chance to get back at all of us and have your closing remarks.
Thank you.
Gail Schwandner.
Well, first of all, I'm quite grateful that I did not fall off the podium once during the year. That's a high point. No one could be more surprised than I am that I actually had a lot of fun doing this. I enjoyed almost all of it. Where is Adriana? Adriana, some of the things with the district, I didn't enjoy. But other than that, I enjoyed everything. And I had such a wonderful board. I had 4 fabulous vice presidents. We didn't agree all the time, but I got to be the final word. It was very exciting. So it didn't matter if they didn't agree. I got to say, thank you for your input, but we're going to do it this way. So that appeals to me a great deal. Benevolent dictatorship has always been my favorite form of government. But my whole board was wonderful. I think one of the highlights of my year was Ginny wishing someone a happy birthday, having left her notes in a pocket someplace. And as a sergeant at arms, she had to make up things about the person whose birthday it was. And when the screen pictures had like 5 grandchildren and she said there were 3, he said, all right. So there were some wonderful moments, not the woman with the declutter woman who I thought was going to hurt me when I pulled her off the, we go as presidents where we have to go. So anyway, so my whole board, it was so fabulous that Jean stepped up to be my treasurer. I mean, Jean said, you want me to do what? I said, oh no, I really need you, Jean. I've never balanced a checkbook. And she kind of looked like, I don't balance my checkbook. So anyway, we were at Madrid. Madrid we had that fabulous, wonderful understanding of each other, and that meant that I said what I wanted to have done, and Madrid did it. That's when somebody really understands you, is that they do the things that you ask. And Sarah, you have been just fabulous. Sarah was a new hire this year. She had never seen one of these soundboards and this whole hoo-ha thing, and she has been working really, really hard, and she's nailed it, and she's just doing it. I saw her the other day. She was hooking up all the speaker wires and actually plugging the little things into the right holes. And I said, wow. She said, no, it's important that I know how to do this. And I thought, well, that's fantastic, because, I could have been here for 7 years and still not know how to plug the things into the right holes. But that's all right. That's not my skill. You have to know what your skills are. But this has been a particularly wonderful year for me, because I am, and oh, thank goodness Craig Doherty isn't here, because every time I say this, he says, no, you're not, but I actually am a true introvert. That doesn't mean you're shy. It means you do not draw your energy from other people. You draw your energy from within yourself, and when it is quiet someplace. Okay, so I didn't have that. It was never quiet. And so I spent a year as an introvert being an extrovert. But I understood what the job was. If you're an introvert, you understand what the requirements of the job are. You can do those things. And is Willetta here? I think I saw Willetta earlier. Yes, yes. And so Willetta and I are both introverts, and then, you know, Deborah Fixon's an introvert, and we all understand each other. We all are typically, if we weren't doing something, we'd be hiding behind the pole. But that wasn't one of my options this year, was to hide behind the pole. So I learned so much and met so many wonderful people because I actually didn't hide behind the pole and greeted everyone and knew about their children. I actually know children's names. How's Teddy doing, Dan? She's probably maybe a month and a half, and the cutest little girl you've ever seen. Charlie, of course, is 2 and looks like he's 4. And this child she's probably going to be a top basketball player in the world, but right now she's only a month and a half. Well, I'll remember this year. There will be nothing that I will forget about this year. And so, is it mine to... I have something else? I have announcements. Next slide. Yes, the President's Party. All right, so next Wednesday is the President's Party. It is in the new wing of the aquarium. I have said to everyone, come comfortably. It is going to be a great deal of fun.